All right. Good morning, everybody. It is April 15th, 8:01 a.m., and we are going to do a few things today. We're going to finish speeches that we haven't heard yet. We're going to discuss TED Talk, and we're going to have the 10 questions that we need to have for the final. Notice the questions will be all new because everything that's been up till now, we're going to set that aside. We're going to start a new set of questions that you're going to create. Okay. And with that in mind, after that, we're going to talk about, after that, we're going to engage in impromptu speeches. Um, I will suggest, advise, and in general, I want to talk about the outline first, which is due tonight. Is that you practice your speech between today and next week, not just in front of people and not just in front of a mirror, but practice it as a conversation where you write down what are your three main points and you share it with people. Like, I'm going to be speaking about this, and here are my three main points. You tell them what those three main points are. Then I suggest that you say, and I'm credible to speak on this, and share with them your credibility. After that, share with them your your not call to action, your counter argument, which is super difficult for people because we love things that we love. It's kind of basic, right? And when we love things, it's hard for us to say what's wrong with them because we just kind of overlook that a little bit due to a variety of TED Talks you have already watched that kind of touched on that subject. So you can actually ask people that you're presenting to, like, can you suggest some counter arguments for me? And they will be like, oh, yes, I can tell you what's wrong with your idea, because that's what friends are really good at, poking holes in our dreams. And um, after you've done that, share with them your call to action. This is what I want you to do. Say, you can, however you want to present it, as in like blame me for having to say call to action to them. But I want you to make that call to action specific and not just next time you see a bully, don't. I mean, like don't do something. Like don't do drugs. It's like, how can I do something? So give us something to do, and that something to do can be a book to read on a subject, a movie to watch, an app to download, a petition to sign, something we can do with as much detail as possible. So you share those things with them in your practice, and I think you're going to have a much better speech, because that's what we did in class setting. Is students just broke into small groups and they shared those things with their group mates, and then they switched groups and they did it again. And I think I could see that by the second time they were much more confident because they already went through this thing, and now they were presenting this information more and more confidently. So if you go through that, just kind of a list slash outline with other people as you practice, you can even say like, "Hi, grandma, I have to like practice my speech. Can I tell you about it?" "Oh, sure." And you just go through this outline and explain. I think you're going to have a better presentation, and you're going to need to rely much less on your notes and reading, because obviously in this class, if you can avoid reading, that is really, really appreciated. Um, so, outline. It is due tonight. Does anybody have any questions that I can address? I would love to address any questions about outline that anybody has right now. For instance, I haven't spoken a word about interviews. Does anybody have any questions on interviews?
I have a question.
Please.
Do you have to use all five sources for your speech, including the interview and the peer reviewed thing?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
They have to be verbally cited, how, to the extent to which it's comfortable for you, but so that we know. And like I say, according to are my two favorite words, because they make it really easy. But yes, you need to mention all 5 sources.
Okay.
Other questions? Raise your hand if you're planning on turning in your outline by 11:59 p.m. tonight. Yay! It's not like there's a right or wrong answer because there's just consequences. But I was just really, that's one question where I like to see as many hands as possible. Thank you. I hope to see your outlines there tomorrow. And really, about interviews, it's an easy way to lose points. So let me be very clear. Don't lose points on your annotated bibliography when you cite your interview, because you need to cite the interview like a source. So it needs to have an APA citation. So, like, interview conducted or such and such a date, and then or scheduled for such and such date. And then you can say that it's scheduled for this date if you haven't done the interview yet. And then description of why this is a good person to interview, why they're a good source. Again, without using personal pronouns, without citing any personal relationship you may have with this person, but specifically explain who this person is and why they're a good source for this speech in 3 to 5 sentences. All right. I think that's all the disclaimers that I need. Oh, one more. I've been thinking about what to do with the wonderful people who don't follow the template and instead submit essays. Because in the past, I would just return those and say, please submit it so I could grade it, because I don't know where one thing starts, when one thing ends. Please help me. And then sometimes people do it and sometimes they don't, and you can lose a lot of points if you just don't turn in the assignment. So I figured I should grade it and give you some kind of credit for some kind of points that you've done on this for work. And so what I decided to do on the persuasive outline is I'm going to, if you turn in an outline that does not follow the template, and by the way, following template means also just having the bullet points with 2 to 3 sentences for the body of the speech for each of the sub points, and clearly labeled. If it's clearly labeled, this is my transition and this is my counter argument, or counter argument in bold, I'd really appreciate it. But people that don't follow that at all and just turn in paragraphs of text, I'm going to automatically deduct 20%, which is 20 points because it's a 100 points assignment. And then it's right at the level of B, essentially, or B minus, I guess. And then we just kind of grade from there so that you get some credit. And if you feel that this is brutal, then I'm actually willing to say, fix it, and I will regrade the paper. Or better yet, just do it right the first time. And then that would be great. I think that is it. In that case, who is yet to give their informative speech, ladies and gentlemen? I remember there was Morris, and I don't remember who else. Oh, and Phoebe. Yes, of course. Phoebe, Morris, and let me make a list of who else in the class here. Oh my gosh. Full screen. How about that? Okay. Raise your hand if you need to give a speech. Morris, Nathan. Nathan, would you like to give you re-give your speech, or what were you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I misheard you. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I misheard you.
All right. Nice haircut. And Phoebe, then you as well. Okay, so just 2 people as far as I can tell. Very well, then. Morris, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I could do that.
Sounds great. Share your screen. Okay, this needs to be closed. This should be closed.
You guys see my slides or my PowerPoint? You guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
You guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Good morning, class. My name is Morris Matson, and today I'm going to be telling you guys a couple benefits of stretching. All right. Well, show of hands, how many of you don't feel as young as you used to feel? That's myself included. We all know that the older you get, the less flexible you become. Even mornings could be difficult. Not only are you tired and grumpy and your breath stinks, but you're stiff and sore, especially depending on what you did the day before. But stretching can help fix this, and I'm gonna tell you a couple of reasons why. If you make it a daily routine to stretch, take about 20 to 30 minutes every morning, and to get a couple of stretches in. This will have overall a positive effect on you mentally and physically. And the sooner that you start to do this and implement this into your morning routine, the happier and healthier that you will be. And if you don't believe me, there's information on this, all over the internet. So, you can check that out for yourself. I have a couple of benefits here. One benefit is it increases your range of motion. This will help make you less injury prone, and it can also enhance your physical performance. I know there's a few athletes in here, and I'm pretty sure you guys very well know this. That stretching, it helps you prepare your muscles to take on the workload that you put them through on the daily basis, whether it's during practice or during a game or something like that. So yeah, making sure that you have that nice full range of motion is very important. The second benefit is an increased blood flow, which this helps you heal quicker, warms your muscles up, and it's good for your heart, which is also good for your joints and helps with your skin and your hair as well, make you look younger. So those are two big benefits of stretching. Now I'm going to give you guys a couple of stretches you can do. This one hamstring stretch, which I'm sure all of you guys have done before. It's pretty basic. Stand up straight, try to reach the floor, touch your toes. It's okay if you can't do it. Not a lot of people can, but with practice, I'm pretty sure you very well could. Your hamstrings are actually made up of 3 different muscles. And this is actually a really big common area for sports injuries. So, by making sure that you stretch here, every day, it will help decrease your chance of injuring, that area. The next stretch is the child's pose. This stretch is actually near and dear to me. A few years back, I had injured my lower back pretty severely, and I'm not gonna lie, I was down bad. I was walking around like Quasimodo, hunched over. I was in a lot of pain, but I began to do this stretch, and it really helped me, feel like my normal self again. Um, it's really good for stretching out your lower back, and it may feel a little awkward and funny at first, but the more that you practice it and do this stretch, the easier and more natural it'll feel, and I promise it'll make you feel a lot better if you have lower back pain as well. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Morris. Morris's time was 4 minutes and 1 second. I will remind that this assignment is 4 to 6 minutes, so there you go. And then Morris, if you could make Phoebe the host, please.
How do I do that?
You hover over her
Okay, I
face
see.
with 3 dots, all that.
Is it? Do I switch to who can share for all participants or? Okay.
Wait, I have to stop sharing so I can make it full screen. Won't let me escape.
It says I'm viewing
Oh, wait.
Phoebe Hillary's
There we
screen.
go. Yes.
So is this your screen, Phoebe?
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, fruit. All right. Can you mute your laptop? So no that thing? All right. So today I'm going to be talking about youth travel soccer in America. This is a topic that I know a lot about. I have been a female soccer player for about 14 years now, and I spent about 9 of that in travel soccer. There is one step before travel soccer called recreational soccer, which is usually what you play when you're from the ages of 6 to like 10. And then you're trying to take the step up when the skill level is a bit different between you and the other people on your team. This is a lot less common nowadays for recreational soccer to be started so late. It's more, it started early now. Like when I was a high school and I was at my club for travel soccer, kids were starting travel soccer at the age of 6, which was just unforsaken at my childhood. So 1 year of travel soccer costs about $8,000 to $10,000 plus travel. And this is from Jason Smith at USA Today in an article that he wrote. A lot of things go into the cost of travel soccer. So when you go away to a tournament, you have to pay a tournament fee, which is split up amongst the team. You also have to pay the coaching fee, which is basically travel. So like maybe a rental car if the coach needs it, and then the hotel room for the coach. So you have to pay for that. And then you also have to pay for their like per diem, which they get to spend on like food for that weekend. So the team has to split that up amongst them. So that's a big cost. And then with travel, you have to pay for your own airfare. And then with the way my team did it, the hotel was also split up, and so was food because we ate most of our meals together. But this is often not the case for most teams. Most teams will have just their parents paying for the hotel and have their parents giving them all their meals. So it will be a lot more expensive for that type of traveler because that's coming straight out of their pocket. And then in clubs, so in travel soccer, we call basically like an organization that has a bunch of teams is a club. And there's a bunch of different levels of teams at this club. So for example, one thing you can call it is a premier team versus an elite team. So the premier team would be like at tryouts, you would have tryouts and you would see, okay, there's 40 people here. We're going to make one team with maybe not so great players and make them the premier team, and then make the really good players the elite team and have them play in a better league, and have the premier team maybe just play locally, that kind of thing. And there's a bunch of different names for these teams. It really depends on the club. Like some clubs near where I was did colors, so it was like red team and blue team, stuff like that. So it's not always premier versus elite. And when it comes to sort of the breakdown of youth soccer in America, it is vast. There are tons of different leagues, but there's 2 main organizations. There's US Youth Soccer, which you see on the right, which is actually the largest youth sports organization in the country. And it registers over 3 million players every year. There's also 10,000 clubs overall, 55 states, some inclusions in Canada. And then there's and their slogan is actually, "We are youth soccer." That's how big they are. And there's a bunch of sub leagues. So they have like national leagues, which you can play into by winning regional leagues. So for my example, it would be Midwestern Conference. That would be the league that I was in because I'm from Illinois. So if we won that, we would go to regionals. And if we won regionals, we would go to nationals. But another way to qualify for nationals was through the middle league on the screen right now, which was National League. So we would have playing games. And if you were the top team in your conference, you automatically qualified for nationals. There were a lot of different routes. And all that information is from ususoccer.org. ECNL on the left, that is a popular league for more elite teams, teams that don't allow students to, or players to play high school soccer because it's that serious. You can't really skip that season. And ECNL has always been really big for females, and now it's also becoming a boys league as well. National League and USU Soccer is all like the same thing for boys and girls, but ECNL was specifically for women, and now men are becoming to be involved in that. And ECNL is completely separate. So like when you find out if a team plays for a certain league, you're kind of have to figure out what side they're from, how they can qualify for nationals. So there's a lot of different like places your team can go just depending on what league you're in. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is the decrease in youth soccer participation over the past couple of years. So this graph here shows 6 to 12-year-olds. And I was talking about this before. A lot of 6 to 12-year-olds are now starting in travel soccer, which kind of pressures them at an early age and makes them, you know, not really want to take that step. Or well, when I was, it would be rec to travel. So I had that like space to advance, but now we're just trying to like youth soccer is like rushing the participation of young kids to make like profit. And it's decreasing the trend of youth soccer, which isn't exactly a positive, but it's something that I thought was important to share because youth soccer used to be on a rise and the participation was really high. But then once youth soccer started to have travel teams at a younger age, it started to decrease because of the high level of competitiveness and the a lot of leagues. I hope you guys learned something about youth travel soccer in this, and thank you for your time. How do I stop sharing?
Yay. That was 5 minutes and 21 seconds. Okay, very good. Now, please make sure that you have taken a second to send Morris your feedback directly into his chat on this platform. And then once you have done that, make sure that you have sent Phoebe some feedback as well. In the meantime, Morris, you there? What kind of feedback did you get?
They said I did good. Try to use more hand gestures. Maybe make a little better eye contact. And I guess a couple of people had trouble hearing me.
It passed.
Audio issues.
That was not your fault.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Be more enthusiastic.
Do you know, that's what I was trying to figure out, because at first I was just kind of like blindsided by the fact that you were presenting a persuasive speech, because you were like, this is good. This is really good. And I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Okay.
But it's fine. But you are really informed. You're really competent. You really know your stuff, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question for me became, how do you show that you care? Because you are so like, this is how it is.
I don't know. I was probably just nervous too.
We don't know that you're nervous. You just look like this. You just really like, yeah. See, and now you smile.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the thing. And I would say, find a topic that makes you excited.
Okay.
And I think then maybe the hand gestures might even come in, or maybe that's not who you are. Maybe you don't speak with your hands, and so it's going to be like difficult to do this. But that is part of it. I think you still very informed. You know your stuff. That was nice, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Morris. And Phoebe, what kind of feedback did you get?
Great use of hand gestures, good pace, too fast, breathe. I had good enthusiasm. Sometimes to breathe when I'm speaking. Good eye contact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say it was more positive or negative?
Positive, yeah.
Okay. Were you surprised?
No.
because you're okay with presenting. Doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm excited for the impromptu speech actually.
Okay. This is interesting because you gave a great presentation. Obviously, it was very nice. You're informed. It was very clear. You're passionate. You had great slides, good hand gestures, all this good stuff. But you became so serious. And this is
Really?
like youth soccer. And you smiled before the speech and after the speech. But when you get into speaking about children, you're so serious. This is how it is. And and I'll say you have a great smile, use it. And I have to remember to smile when I play piano because that's like not something that comes to mind, but it seems to really help the audience. So I'm like, okay. And then they're like, you look like you're really enjoying it. I was like, yeah, I was enjoying it before, but now you can see it. Okay. So you did great on that, and that's about it. Nice presentation, enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a great fact there at the end, because I'm like, ooh, attendance is down, but because of this, ooh, now I'm like informed about soccer. I can have like a conversation about youth
I
soccer.
was really trying not to be like biased, but youth travel soccer is a scam. Maddie is also in this class. She plays soccer here with me, and she literally messaged me that youth soccer is a scam, which is completely true. They just want money. It is ridiculous. So I was really trying to not get into that.
Kudos to you for keeping that out of it. I think
Yeah,
you really did a nice job of.
There's the reason that there's so many leagues is because they want to make the most money, so they just keep breaking it down into more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, that was a great example of an informative speech because I kind of was like, I should look more into this. Looks strange, but now you're like, wow, that's good job. Very good. Now let's talk about TED Talk and have everybody else chance to weigh in because we've had 2 people speak so far, and I'd like to hear from everybody in class throughout. So, folks, what was the TED Talk? The TED Talk was it Matt Abrams, I believe. Talk smart, think fast, something like that. Think fast, talk smart. There were some tips and suggestions. I wonder what you guys took away from it. Derek, if I can call on you because you're at the top of my Zoom thingy. What did you think? What was your takeaway?
My takeaway was one thing that like I'll quote him was look at arguments as opportunities to learn about each other, make concessions, and to collaborate. I relate to this because like I'm really like an open book. Like I'll answer like any question truthfully. Like I don't care about your feelings. This is how I feel. So yeah, that was my takeaway.
So how is this going to help you? Or is this like just reaffirming what you already think? Or
It's just reaffirming maybe I'm like too good. Like yes, people's feelings are okay, so it's okay if I dial it back a little bit. And I'm too open sometimes. Like I'll just express all my emotions and stuff. Because I feel like men don't really do that often. So people just get like overwhelmed by it. So maybe I can like dial it back a little bit.
well, I think that's why God invented music. So
I relate to that too.
there you
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you. Trina, what was your takeaway, if I can be so bold as to jump all the way to the bottom of the alphabet, but that's who you're actually next on my screen.
I appreciate it. I guess I'll bring up the time of day and the location for basically whenever you're communicating or even having a speech. He did bring up a few what was his name? Mark Abrams. Yeah. He brought up a few points, regarding like, class time. I can see the struggles, like starting either first thing in the morning or starting right after lunch. I can definitely understand that attention span is not there because I know mine wasn't.
It's a little bit different for everybody, but fact remains that we are different throughout the day. And if we have eaten, if we have gotten enough sleep or not gotten enough sleep. My favorite story there is about a Boston politician who was supposed to give a speech to a bunch of Irishmen, and the politician was Tip O'Neill. He was a famous Speaker of the House in his day. And he had all these jokes and anecdotes, and he was gonna like have a lot of laughter in his speech. And then he found out the timing of the speech. He was going to be speaking before lunch or before meal. And so it came out that he realized that the audience was going to be very serious. It was going to be very somber. It was going to be very sober and hungry. And so he changed his speech and took out the jokes and went with more like serious topics. So that may be one of the ways to adjust your speech depending on what do you think about your audience's abilities at that particular moment. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you're learning all these tools that exist that you have at your disposal, which to use when. I mean, do you need to be extra energetic in the morning or less? You know, if you're just let's see, but it depends on the audience who you're presenting to. But if you're presenting early in the morning, do you need to be more energetic or less energetic? You know, I'm not sure it's all that entirely clear.
Yeah, I think you have to be ready to, be ready for those changes and to adjust your speech in that case.
Feedback, communicate with the audience. I like that. All right, thank you, Trina. Sydney. And what'd you think?
I thought it was interesting when he said, we remember information like 40% better when we have like a structure or a map, like when the speech is like structured. And I always try to like make my stuff very structured so it's easier to follow. So I thought that's interesting.
Yep. And that's a really good takeaway as well, because that kind of supports the idea that, well, there's a template for the outline. There is not just a structure, but there's a prepared structure. Here's a blueprint. Boom. Here's what it's supposed to look like. And this way you don't have to reinvent the bicycle every time. Like, what's the best first thing to say? Or what's the, here's the guy. But I will say one more thing is that if you want to make that structure even more memorable, then you want to create a pattern. Because if there's a pattern, then the audience can follow, the audience can remember, and it's easier to catch on. Awesome. Thank you very much, Sydney. Peter, what did you think?
I kind of took away from the the structure part into like organizing how you can explain your topic to somebody. Is if you have the correct structure, they can follow along easier. Kind of like it's kind of like we just went over.
Cool. Well, the structure is going to be just a little bit different for this next speech, so pay attention to the structures. Cool. Thank you, Peter. Phoebe, what did you think? Yeah, sorry. There's no rhyme or reason how they decided to arrange it. Yeah,
I know that they were both talking about structure, but that's kind of what I took away. Mostly that structure is something you can utilize to help keep people engaged. When you're everywhere, when you're talking, it's kind of hard for someone to keep up, and they're just gonna trail off and go somewhere else, like I just was. And then I also really liked the name of the TED Talk. What was it? Think fast, talk smart. Right. Yeah, because if you're thinking fast and you're still talking, you can actually keep thinking of things to say. That is something that I do a lot. So yeah, kind of the way I look at it.
Right. No, that's a couple of good things there, because really imagine the opposite. They're just running all over the place, and that's more of like a rant. Then I'm just like, this bothers me, and this bothers me, and this makes me think of this, and this, and this thing. And it's like, oh boy. Right. Good point. Thank you, Phoebe. Dan, Miss Dan, what'd you think? I will say I have Dan, then I have Nathan, then Maddie. Dan, what'd you think?
I had to unmute my phone. Sorry. I have to agree with what Derek said earlier in regards to it. What I got out of it is the argument aspect. It opens up other avenues to explore, especially when I'm presenting things to my peers or my managers and stuff like this. An argument opens up another possibility. So people, point and counterpoint is important in regards to the conversation that we are having in order to do what we need to do. So presenting this stuff and having arguments to say nay or yay to support your argument or not support your argument, but to tear it down is important in regards to showing your stuff.
I think that's very much about the democracy with a little d there. You got to have two sides to things. And that's an opportunity to learn about both sides.
The other thing is what Phoebe had said in regards to opening up other, it also leads to the possibility of opening up tangents where you get off of course in regards to trying to present things, and that could be detrimental in regards to how you display things as well.
Well, that's interesting. So you can have an argument within the structure.
Yes.
I like that. Thank you, Dan. Nathan, and I think it's Phoebe, right? It's not, it's like, I was like, it's almost like phobia. Hello, phobia, Hillary.
My apologies if I mispronounced that. I really do apologize.
Phoebe. All right. Awesome. Oh, look, she can be redder.
It happens a lot.
I bet. And with my name, it's we've seen it all. I think everybody here has been mispronounced in some horrible ways. That's why I read names at graduation, so that I can take that responsibility and destroy everybody's names, like all the graduating class. No, just kidding. Awesome. Nathan, what'd you think?
I found the use of the structure to make arguments to be the most interesting part of the video. The ability to again, this is well trodden, but to make arguments with certain structures, but with the structure of it, rather than just purely the ideas. Or I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting this.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Hopefully that's the point of the outline, is using the outline, because I mean, I'm sure you've made the things that you have spoken about before. Has using the outline template been helpful to you in flushing out those ideas in a way?
I think so. It's kind of they've kind of acted as bases to kind of expand on. At least that's how I've used them. Kind of go to this point and elaborate, this point and elaborate, this point and elaborate. Obviously, there's the whole don't get off into big tangents like Dan said, but yeah.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Nathan. Maddie, what did you think?
So I really like this TED Talk because they kind of related the information back to teaching, and I'm going to be an elementary school teacher. And so what I took from it was that you have to understand your audience and what they need. And it definitely is true, because I think with children, especially, like every day it's different. And some days they may need more activity so they stay more engaged, or some days they need to have less moving and more sitting to be more engaged. And I just think it really relates to that, because your audience is always different.
Yes, and it's interesting because I've been trying to think of people slightly a little bit more in the way that you actually are supposed to be thinking of your students. It's easier for you because they look like this. There's idea that says that we're going to have an easier time if we don't think it's somebody who is upset or frustrated as like, I mean, obviously don't take it personally, but like maybe they haven't had breakfast. Maybe this person haven't had enough sleep and therefore they're cranky. And it's like physiological explanations. And then with kids, it's easier because there they are little people that are going through all these things. But the rest of us, we're just big kids going through the same things. If you don't get enough sleep or don't get enough food or have eaten just now, all of that stuff affects a lot of things. Cool. Thank you, Maddie. You'll be able to observe it directly. All right. Morris, what did you think?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch it, but
thank you.
But I liked how you guys talked about adjusting your speech to pertain to your audience. to be more serious if you know they're going to be serious, or include jokes if you feel like it could be a laughing matter.
Did you have to make any adjustments for this audience?
Somewhat, because I couldn't see anybody when I started sharing my screen. All you could usually see the little squares of everyone's faces. So when I had my speech, in the beginning I asked a question, but I wasn't able to see reactions, so I kind of just expected them or knew they were going to be there, I guess.
Okay, so you like almost had to turn off the feedback, so you
Yeah.
didn't know it was okay. And is there anything about this audience that you may want to adjust for your next speech with the knowledge that you have now?
No,
All right,
feel like it'll be good.
all right, thanks. Brady, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, I thought one thing he said that stuck with me was don't think about what you want to say to the audience when you start to like figure out what you're going to say, but what they need to hear. You know what
Okay,
I'm saying?
it's really hard to actually do that. Can you give me an example?
Give you an example of saying what they need to hear.
Yeah, like an audience, like give me an example of an, like what would be that scenario when you're like hello and they're like goodbye and you're like goodbye and you leave because that's what they want to hear right now, or that's it's a really interesting statement, that like very provocative thought. You're like, a
So
lot of us are like, oh, that's really good, but like, can we visualize the scenario?
Yeah. So like what I thought was like if like our coach walked in at halftime and we're playing bad, we expect him to just scream at us, so we're ready for that. And he comes in and just says, like, doesn't say anything and walks out, like something like that, where he knows a lot of guys will shut off if he yells at him. So he doesn't do that, even though he wants to yell at him.
So this is the upset, but rather than yelling, as he mentions, going quiet and breaking that expectation. That's okay. That's good too. Thank you, Brady. Ali, and then Moe, and then Larissa, and then Jaden. So Ali, what did you think?
I liked how at the beginning of the TED Talk he said something along the lines of look at public speaking as an opportunity to share your beliefs and innovations versus looking at public speaking as an opportunity for failure.
I guess that's why I ask you guys to find things that you care about, because then you're excited about sharing that with others, and it becomes a little bit more of a way to overcome other things that may be, other thoughts that may be there. Cool. Thank you, Ali. Moe, what did you think?
I think it was interesting. And what I take away is the structure first. And sometimes I feel my English is not good. And in that situation, I think to be structured makes the people understand easily. So, and especially the formal situation or not the daily conversations, I should use the structure to make people understand easily. And also the emotion part was interesting. And I was not the person who include emotion in the conversation, not much. And he himself used the emotion in his speech. I thought so, because he included the examples of children with names, and that creates the emotion. So I think that approach was interesting.
Excellent. Two things. That was great. Thank you, Moe. I will say that emotions are like, it would be nice to say that they're all equal, but I really think that emotions is the fundamental part. And then we use like numbers to defend our emotions and everything else to like defend our feelings. So we should arouse the right feelings, control the feelings we arouse in our audience, so they would have the right response. And examples and stories are two ways we can raise that emotion in our audience. And third is just using adjectives, just saying this was good, this was bad, this was terrible, this made me feel a certain way. Describe things, because that adds our perspective and that creates emotion too. So that was awesome. And yeah, structure, yes, your English is not as good as somebody who was born in this country, but you are perfectly capable and do it all the time, every time. You get your point across just fine. And it's because your language is not as rich, but it is clearly, so there's clear structure that you're following in your language, and it creates understanding. And the same in speech. You have a clear structure that you follow, and it creates understanding. So, I mean, I think that not having extra words is like having extra pieces of structure. It's just more clear. But you're doing great, and so awesome. Thank you, Moe. Larissa, what did you think?
So I didn't watch the video this time, but I will after this class.
I would appreciate it. Thanks, Larissa. And Jaden.
Hi. So basically what I took from the TED Talk was that context involves emotion, and communicating an emotion is important, and communicating the right feeling is important. Like, you want to bring something from your audience and you want them to feel the same feeling. And if you're presenting monotone, then they're just going to be bored. So that's what I took from it.
Good. Well, and this also, I think, crosses over into that Vanessa Von Edwards TED Talk when she talks about us being contagious and how we can set the mood. I went to this one workshop because for 5 years I worked as a music director at a church, and I went to a music director workshop, and the person who was leading the workshop said, you as music directors and musicians in church, you can either be a thermometer and reflect the temperature, or you can be the thermostat and you can set the temperature. And we're like, oh, that's a good thought. So, I mean, yeah, on some level, we reflect the energy and that we see from our audience, but on some level, we can also set that energy, and we can infect people with our, passion, our optimism, our excitement for the topic. Cool. Thank you very much, Jaden. All right, whoever was the last speaker, make me host again, unless I'm already a host. Nope. Please make me host. I guess that would be Phoebe, right?
Yeah, but when I hover over you, it doesn't give me the option to make you host. It just says chat or pin video.
Let's see. I think I have a reclaim host here button somewhere. If I
think you're already.
Morris is still host.
Oh, Morris is still host?
Yeah, I don't know how to switch you back.
Okay. Reclaim host. Why do they hide that button over there? I don't know, but I have reclaimed my hostages. Ha ha ha. Oh. Okay. So we're going to go to this document. Share. All right. So you can see the midterm document, right? Okay. So what we're doing here is we're saying final. And we're taking all out. Let's see, we're going to do this and we're going to save as. Final. All right. And delete. Now I'm looking for 10 questions. 5 is from the video called Speaking to Persuade, and 5 from the video called Methods of Persuasion. First of all, Speaking to Persuade. Just unmute yourself, because when I'm sharing, I see fewer of you, so I can't see all of you. So just unmute and speak up if you have a question and an answer suggestion.
I got a question, if I can start.
Go ahead.
So it has 3 fill in the blanks. Persuasion is the process of creating, reinforcing, or changing. Those 3 need to be fill in the blanks.
Creating
People's beliefs or actions.
Great. Thank you very
I got
much.
one too.
Go ahead.
It's a true false one. Your goals should be ethically sound, and the answer is true.
All right. Looking for question 3.
I have one.
Go ahead, Ali.
Okay, it's who do you need to persuade? And then the answer is the target audience.
That's a good one. Thank you. Not everyone at the store, but just your target audience. Target? No? Anybody? Okay. Question 4.
I have one.
Go ahead.
2 types of persuasive speech involve, and then value and policy.
Well, there's also fact. So can we do something that includes all 3? Because there's fact, value, and policy. There can be questions of fact, value, and policy.
You do something like name one type of persuasive speech.
Sure. One type of persuasive speech, and the choices are questions of fact or value or policy. So you can name any one of those, but you need to also say questions of, if you can remember that. But fact, value, and policy are 3. All right. Very good. Thank you, Peter. And looking for one more.
I could do another one.
Go ahead.
When picking a topic, you should pick something and then that you care about is the answer.
All right. That seems kind of a can't go wrong with that one. All right. Thank you, Brady. Now looking for 5 questions from the second video, which is methods of persuasion. And this is where I talk about the logos, ethos, pathos, as well as Legos, haha, and going through all of those, taking them apart, our credibility, our emotions, and numbers/data.
I have a quick question about that.
Yes, please.
Is Legos also a word for like Kairos?
Which is what?
Like Kairos is like a time. Is it like? It's like a kind of like how you said that you need to have your evidence should be in a timely area that's relevant. It's like a version of Kairos. It's like a 4th element.
All
Is
right.
that the same thing as Legos?
No, I was making a joke / pun, but if I was saying something smarter than I intended to, I'll take it.
I just didn't. I was kind of confused by that.
I meant to speak Greek. No, I have no idea.
Okay.
No, thank you for looking for more sense than there probably was. This is, again, folks, this is like art. You create something and people see, hearing it, stuff that you're like, really? You heard that? Really? It's out of our control. So we just want to be clear. And sometimes we're not clear. And then there's questions that, it's normal part of communication, but there's just a great example. Thank you, Peter. We're still looking for question 1 on that chapter. /video.
I have one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when enhancing your credibility, establish blank with your audience. And then the answer is common ground.
All right. Thank you very much. Looking for question 2/7.
I have one.
All right.
Name one type of credibility.
Okay, and the choices are?
Initial credibility, derived, and terminal.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Great. That's a great question.
I have one.
All right.
Name one type of reasoning. And
All right,
then
the choices are?
reasoning from specific instance. Reasoning from principle. Casual reasoning.
Causal.
Oh, my bad. And logical reasoning.
And what? Analogical? Yes. That word causal and casual, the last person who suggested that question made exact same mistake. So folks, everybody, it's causal because one thing causes another, not like we're casually having a conversation, which is different. Awesome. Thank you very much, Brady. And looking for question 9. It really is also kind of a test for me to see what information you guys take away. So I appreciate it as well on that level.
I can do another question.
Go ahead.
How do you generate emotional appeal? Provide one example. Or name one type of, just to provide an example. I don't know how I was trying to word that.
Depends. What's the answer?
Use emotional language, develop vivid examples, and speak with sincerity and conviction. Or name an example of generating emotional appeal.
Name one way to generate emotional appeal. So here are your choices. You can use Okay, so does this make sense? Name one way to generate emotional appeal. Well, speak with sincerity and conviction. Okay, I think that makes sense. Does it to you, Trina? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And one more. Why is there D? Okay.
I have a true or false question.
Go ahead.
Is true or false, hasty generalization is one type of a fallacy? And it would be true.
Let's just flip it around so we have some balance. Is not a fallacy. Is not a type of fallacy. And we're going to say that that's false, right? All right. So let me make that a little. So if you want to do a screenshot, if you want to do, make sure you copy all the questions, that's 10 right there. And the final is going to be exactly the same. I'll ask you 5 questions. Incidentally, okay, so I can stop sharing the screen now. I presume everybody got it. So stop sharing. Okay, yeah. Save it. That'll be good too. That's what I can do on my end. Stop sharing. Okay, and let me do this. Okay, now let's transition into the impromptu speech. And here's what I'm looking at. Share screen, random now generator. There it is. We should be able to get through 5 to 10 people easy. Well, 5 easy, 10 if we're lucky. No, won't. And then we will go from there. So what do I see? Okay, let's make a list here just so, okay, why is it doing this? Oh, look at this, this is awesome, okay. Is that everybody? Yeah, I think it is everybody. That is everybody. Very good. And then this can be moved here. And this can be moved here. Okay. So let's make a list that I see. This is impromptu speech. And we'll go in reverse. So I see Moe, Jaden, Larissa, Peter, and Morris. That's the next 5 people. Let's go through that. If we get beyond that, Brady will be first then. And I'm sharing with you so you can see. This is like resource, right? You can see word resource, Moe. It's not going to be the word, but I'm just making sure that you can see things. And the goal here is, I will briefly restate, to speak for 2 minutes, starting with the word that's going to be generated at random. And then you can take the topic elsewhere if you want to the conversation, or you can stay on topic, up to you. After 2 minutes, I'll give you thumbs up. You can wrap it up, be like, thank you very much. It's been great. And you're done. So 2 minutes of telling stories. However you want to. Moe, you're okay going first? You're just at the bottom of my list now, so I'm just going to you first. Is that okay?
So using this word and 2 minutes conversation, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like you're at a party somewhere and somebody says, oh, relations. Oh yeah, relation. What about you, Moe? What do you think about that? And it's up to you, and I'll start the timer when you begin speaking.
Yeah, that's okay. Also, can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Talking about the relation, Japan and America has a long relations. I don't know if you guys know or not. Japan opened the country in 19th centuries, and it's comparatively slow start because other countries are always open to the other countries, but Japan has closed for long years. And then by the approach of American government, Japan opened the country in 19th centuries, as I said. And from that time, America and Japan has a good relation, I believe, because if the relation was bad, I didn't come here because I'll probably worried about the people of America because they're going to hate me or to be aggressive. So the the fact that many Japanese students come here to study in an English environment, and I believe many people who like to study in English native countries, they don't choose British, and they mostly choose America like me because we are familiar with American culture or people and American English, of course. Um, so that is because, partly because um, after the war, we our education are based on the American English, not the British one, because we had the connection, and then yeah, the English education are from the America, so everything related to English or the other countries are things related to United States. So that's why I choose to study here, and yeah, I love to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you. Woo! It's very nice. Silent standing ovation. Thank you very much, Moe. Jaden, let's take a look at what could be your next word. Pizza. I don't know if there's anything you can say about pizza, but you have 2 minutes whenever you begin speaking.
I got a lot to say about pizza. So first off, my stepdad, he makes a lot of pizzas for events. He makes all different kinds of pizzas. My favorite one is just normal mozzarella cheese on top and jalapeno peppers and giardiniera and cheese curds. And I love that from being from Wisconsin. I'm a true Wisconsinite. So, but I love pizza. There's a lot of options for pizza around here. One of my favorites is Topper's Pizza. I don't even get the pizza from there though. I get the breadsticks and I get the cine sticks. So pretty much love that. But a lot of events in my family come from pizza. We have a lot of pizza nights. That's just how we bond. It's easy to bond over, easy to make or easy to pick up. Super simple. Usually we sometimes make them even. We sometimes make them homemade. I don't remember the steps usually because usually one of my parents make the dough, but usually we create them. We put the sauce on top, put all the toppings, get a little creative, make pictures on it. So pizzas are really kind of important in our family because it kind of just brings us all together. But pizzas, there's just, you can do so much with them and you can get creative with them too. And it just brings us all together as a family and as one. And yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's great. And that's how long 2 minutes is. Thank you, Jaden. Larissa, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. That also tells me you can hear me. Okay, let's see if your word's going to be as nice as pizza. Hotel. All right, you may begin whenever whenever you're ready.
So I do like to travel, and I have traveled not too long ago. I'm not sure if I am the biggest fan of hotels just because I've had some good experiences and some bad experiences, but my last hotel I stayed at, it was in Mexico because I went to visit family, and I remember that day we stayed there, and I guess in Mexico it is normal for like a person to bring his like roosters. So that day, we were there and it was like 4 in the morning and the roosters were already like making noise and I couldn't sleep. It was a bad night that day. But I know there's some, like when I go to water parks, we usually stay at hotels, maybe like Wisconsin Dells. I know one of my favorite hotels there is the Wilderness Hotel, just because they have everything. They have inside and outside pools, and it's nice to not have to walk as far, and you can just go right into the hotel and not get cold at all. Some hotels also do have very good service, like they'll come to your door, bring you breakfast, or offer you any more towels or anything you wish for. And it's very easy access. Maybe you just call a phone number that's right in the room. But I know there's also some hotels that maybe offer breakfast that you just go down. So that's very nice as well. Or they have clubs inside of them, or stores inside the hotels as well. That's something I really like about them. I did have a bad experience one time when I was going to Tennessee. My dad chose this not so great hotel that we stayed at, and it was a bad experience. But thanks for listening.
Thank you, Larissa. All right. Peter, right? I think Peter is next. Yep, Peter is next.
Hello.
All right. And the word is week.
Okay, well, the week is very, very short, in my opinion. There's not enough time to do everything, and the weekend just comes and goes, and then when you're in school, time just flies, and the whole week just seems really short. And because it's short, it feels like everything is rushed, and it's very hard to enjoy every day because your day is always condensed into one thing. You always have stuff scheduled every day. And then once that's done, the next day happens and that's scheduled. And then when that's done, that's scheduled. And then it's just, you start all over and your week is just very, very like condensed. So what I try to do is I try to enjoy every part of my day. And so whenever I'm not in school or I'm not studying, I try to just relax during the week, and it makes it feel like the time just extends because there's nothing to do. And so there's nothing to do, and so the time just, you feel like the time is just really slowed down because you're just kind of waiting there for something to happen. And so then you just want to start doing something, and when you finally get into doing something, the time flies again and it's the next week and there's nothing to do anymore. And so then the next week happens and everything starts over again. You're stressed, you have tons of stuff to do, and then it is done. And then this week starts again, and it's crazy because time just flies so fast. Like even with school starting, I can't even believe there's only like 2 weeks left of class time, and then 2 weeks of finals, which isn't really class time, but it feels like this whole semester's gone so fast, and every week just time keeps going. So thanks for listening.
And that 2 minutes went by really fast. Well done. Thank you, sir. Okay, then Morris. Morris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. Let's see what your word might be. Context.
All right, let's put this into context.
Right.
When I read, I like to look for context clues. To keep this into context, I'm gonna change the subject and talk about something I could talk about. My dog. Got my dog here chilling with me. He wants some attention right now. I got to give him some breakfast or something. But yeah, I feel like the content in this class is very good. I feel like I'm learning a lot. And I feel like I'm getting more comfortable talking with you guys. I feel like you know, I wake up on Thursday mornings and I'm excited to go to class and, you know, hear your guys' stories and talk with you guys and listen to Professor Yuri and take in all his knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, this 2 minutes feels longer than usual, but I'm gonna just keep it going. Context. What is the definition of context? I'm gonna look it up. Context, the circumstance that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which can be fully understood and assessed. That's the definition of context. If you didn't know that before, now you do. Yeah. I don't know how much more time I have left, and I'm gonna just keep it rolling until I see them thumbs come up. This is different, you know, doing class online for me. I was, you know, whole life been going, you know, to school in a school setting, in a classroom setting. So doing this over a laptop is different, but I'm getting used to it, as I'm sure all you guys are as well. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Morris. I believe this was the first time that somebody looked up something up while they were giving a speech. That was it's great. All right, let's see. Okay, next, Brady, then Nathan, and Maddie. All right, and I think we'll probably end with those three. So Brady, if you want, let's see, if you dare. Newspaper.
Newspapers. All right, so a lot of older people I know, like my grandparents, read newspapers every day. I really don't ever touch a newspaper. I haven't seen a newspaper since I went to college, and that's fine with me because I wouldn't read them even if I saw them. All the news that we need, we can find on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We don't need newspapers anymore. Just a waste of paper, killing trees. There's no need for it when you can look up any news you want, and also on TVs. So, and TVs, I was at Walmart the other day, and TVs aren't expensive anymore. You can get a big 60-inch TV, 4K for under $200. I did not know that they were that cheap. So I might have to get one, because then I can get all the news that I would read in newspapers on the TV. What else can I say about newspapers or TVs? The news. I'll just talk about the news now. I also don't watch any news channels. I don't know about you guys, but I think they're boring. And the only reason I would watch would be to see what the weather is going to be like, but I can just look on my phone in a second and know what the weather is like. So again, I think newspapers will be gone pretty soon. I think news channels will be gone pretty soon because they won't get enough views, because all the kids our age, when we get older, will probably just still go on our phones to look everything up. And I think that's more efficient anyway. So that's all I have to say about news and newspapers. Thanks.
That was like a really nice, persuasive speech that made me so sad. Thank you, Brady. And let's see, Nathan, let's see, your word, replacement. Nathan, you may begin whenever, and I'll start timing whenever you begin.
Oh boy, I'm trying to think of things.
Do you want me to try a different word?
Yeah, yeah. Can I try a different word?
Girlfriend. Let me try a different word. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. This is not nice. Development.
All right, sure. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Why we should encourage the development of low carbon initiatives to the generation of electricity. The large scale consensus amongst the scientific community is that climate change caused by human carbon dioxide emissions primarily through the emission of fossil fuels, including coal, oil, and natural gas, is causing significant disruptions in the global climate. While there's a significant initiative to just keep going, it would be better for our future than that we move to more carbon neutral terms in order to ensure that the negative developments of climate change are, how do I say this, much less significant than should they be, than they could possibly be. Indeed, we are indeed beginning to see the effects of climate change and the rising of global temperatures, the melting of ice caps. Entire islands and nations are going underneath the surface. We are beginning to have to think about and build large infrastructure projects in order to contain these rising sea levels. And then there's, but shoot, understand that I got caught here. But it is a threat, and it is a threat that is going to continuously keep going unless we eventually deal with it. And as the generation of electricity is our primary is the primary reason why we have the deployment of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it is necessary to try to create solutions that are much less harmful overall to the environment, because these problems will just continue to compound.
Thank you very much, Nathan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's stop. Let's go ahead and stop there. And what, Phoebe, what? Did you want to keep going?
I was just really looking forward to Maddie's, so I'm really upset.
You're gonna have to wait until next time. Sorry, Phoebe.
Really? Then I
Sorry.
didn't make Allie go.
I mean, I can stick around, but I think people have other things to do, so.
I'm actually really enjoying this.
This is great, yeah, and thank you to everyone. And notice there's about first 90 seconds that are easier, and that last 30 seconds, people get really I don't know, maybe we're out of oxygen. This is a good time to take a breath at that point or something, but just my observations. I look forward to continuing and finishing these next week, but also next week, we're gonna jump into persuasive speeches. So maybe we should, maybe then next week we shall start with finishing impromptu speeches so that this anticipation, this cliffhanger can have a resolution. What will Maddie say? What will Phoebe say? And then we will find out next week. Until next time, thank you very much. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
I have a quick suggestion, actually.
Of course.
In the future, the conversation should keep developing when the next person starts talking.
I like it. You have to pick up where the last person left off for the 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll think of that. Thank you very much, Peter. I appreciate the suggestion.
Quick question. I'm sorry. Do we need to do the self-evaluation after this as well? Well, if you did your speech.
Right. Other than the thumbs up, that's all the evaluation you get. I think this is, however you want to think about how you did. Probably not a bad idea, but I don't need it as an assignment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If you have anybody has any questions that I can answer, please. No, I don't think it affects anybody in this class, but yes, it does. Don't I have a couple of people who want to take their midterms? There you are. Okay, that's just like all these faces. Like, why are they there? You want midterms. Okay, then let's stop recording.
Professor, I actually have to go to a class. Can I schedule something after?
Yes, you may.
Like,
when are you available?
I could do it like around noon. Can I do it at noon? Otherwise, I can do it later today.
Okay, let me look at today. Later today probably would be better. Can we connect? No. Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I've got to go. I got to drop out. I have a staff meeting that I have to be at in 5 minutes.
And you have taken the midterm, right?
Yes, I have.
Well, then you can leave as of 5 minutes ago.
Well, I usually like to listen to other people's conversations because I might learn something from it.
But now
But I'm letting you know that I'm leaving early.
All right. Bye,
Have fun. Bye.
Nathan, you have to go to class. What about 4 or 5 o'clock today? Today, can we connect?
Yeah, I can do that.
Is that okay with your schedule?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's do 5 o'clock. If it's not too difficult, I'm gonna write here, Nathan. And I think we can probably meet right here in this classroom. Just both click it then and then it comes up.
Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, let me give you my phone number so you can